What's up, you guys? In this video, we're going to be going over selecting your wedding attire. That means finding your wedding dress, sourcing dresses for your bridesmaids, and the groomsmen suits, and of course, whatever the groom plans to wear himself.
In an ideal situation, you should start researching what designs you like when you're about 12 to 14 months away from your wedding date. However, once we get to the 10 to 12 month range, that's when it'll be time to start locking down your decision, ordering your attire, and any accessories you plan to have.
Now, looking back at our budget outline, we set aside about 8 to 10% for this category. Now, to be completely honest with you, most couples actually end up spending around 6% of their total budget on their wedding attire, so just keep that in mind. Whenever you decide to not spend in this category, you'll then be able to flex into another.
A reminder again that this budget is for your attire specifically and not that of your wedding parties, who traditionally are responsible for funding their own outfits. Again, this is something you'll want to discuss with everyone in advance when first selecting who will be in this group.
So funding your dream wedding dress is arguably one of the most exciting things for brides when they're planning their wedding. This is where you get to take everything special and unique about yourself and put it on a canvas. You want a dress that tells a story. A dress that reflects who you are, but shows a side that no one's ever seen before. Even more importantly, you want a dress that will take your spouse's breath away and leave them standing there speechless, and hopefully in tears.
And you might be thinking, something like this sounds really hard to find. And you're partially right, but lucky for you, we've got a few places to help get you started. The first of which I'm sure you've all heard of, David's Bridal. David's Bridal is a massive online bridal boutique that has the largest selection of wedding dresses you can find anywhere in the country. They also have several in-person locations scattered throughout where brides can make an appointment to go in person and try on different styles. And with the average wedding dress ranging from $70 to $1,900, this option falls in the category of more affordable.
Now, with that being said, I personally never heard of anyone having a spectacular experience with this option. The general consensus being that while they do have a lot of options and are quite affordable, most brides end up feeling rushed here and have experienced a lack of specialized attention when it comes to shopping for the dress. It's not uncommon to find yourself in a crowded store with a half a dozen other bridal parties finding their outfits as well.
So if you're looking for a more personalized experience when selecting your dress, then I would recommend researching some local small business boutiques in your area. Many of these places will have a decent selection to choose from while also remaining to be an affordable option. Where we see the biggest difference, however, is in the shopping experience.
Yeah, that's right. A boutique is essentially a small shop that in a lot of cases you can reserve exclusively for several hours at a time. So that means that you and your whole bridal party can shop privately and make like a whole day out. Crack open the mimosas, have some snacks, get some truly one-on-one assistance as you're, shopping for your wedding attire.
And depending on where you decide to go, you might actually find this option to be the most affordable. And even better, you're helping your community by investing in a local business.
Next up will be to find suits for the guys. Now, this includes what the groom will be wearing as well as the groomsmen. While choosing a design for the guys tends to be a lot easier than finding the perfect wedding dress, there are still a lot of smaller elements that you'll need to be mindful of.
Start by revisiting what the ideas look like in your head. Are we looking to keep things classic, or are we looking to go more the traditional tuxedo, or perhaps a variation of the two?
Or do we want to personalize things even more with different colors, accents, styles, and any other elements that you might be considering? Will this wedding be a formal black tie event, or is it going to be more of a casual wedding on the beach? Are we thinking of a full jacket, or are we rocking the suspenders look? These are all things you're going to want to keep in mind.
What about one of those hipster bow ties, or is the groom more of a classic skinny? The customization here is endless, but the rules stay the same. Make the guys look good, but make the groom look great.
Whatever design you decide to go with in your head, getting that down on paper is the important part. That's where we take your ideas and we begin assigning a budget and a means to assemble everything that you'll need to pull it off. One of the best places for you to find the things you'll need would be the well-known Men's Warehouse.
Similar to David's Bridal, Men's Warehouse has a huge online selection of anything you might be looking for, as well as hundreds of in-person locations scattered throughout the country.
You can also build the design you're looking for, set up an in-person appointment, you can get fitted, you can rent the equipment, or you can otherwise outright buy it.
They also offer some options for financing if you need to go that route.
Right, and the only downside to this option is the same as before. Couples who have used this service say that it gets the job done, but the overall experience is one that they felt that was not too personalized, and instead felt rather rushed.
Not only that, they also have a rental return policy that is due immediately the day after, and if you can't make it within that window, you're charged a fee each day.
Yeah, and that actually happened to me when I was a best man at a wedding. I personally found that this was one of the most annoying parts about the entire entire experience, since the day after the wedding tends to be a day when you want to relax, catch up, and not worry about returning things.
Yeah, exactly. As an alternative, some people can choose to design their suits with a local suit shop or custom fitting tailors. This will be the more expensive option, but far more personalized. And if you're in the market for a nice suit to own afterwards anyways, this could be a perfect option.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. The more affordable option out there, however, would be to buy all of the elements that you need by visiting department stores. This is actually what I ended up doing for my own wedding. You guys may have remembered that I planned my own wedding for about $5,000. So there's a lot of places who sell dress shirts, suit jackets, slacks, and anything else you might need to put together your outfit, many of which can be found at a much more reduced price. So depending on your budget or the budget of the groomsmen, this might be a better option to consider.
So that gives you a pretty good idea on what you should be looking for, where you'll be able to find it, and when you should start actually buying everything you'll need. This can be a rather time-consuming process, but as long as you outline everything you'll need in advance and stick to your budget, then you shouldn't run into too many problems with getting everything you need.
So as you start the process of looking for your outfits, here are just a few tips to keep in mind. Starting with
tip number 1, which is inspiration. One of the best places you'll find inspiration for designing your wedding party's attire will be on Pinterest. There are thousands of boards dedicated to this topic, and we've spent a lot of time creating a bunch of our own to help you in your research process. You can see all these by following @WhatEverything.
Tip number 2 is budget. Right? It's better to break down your total budget into smaller chunks and start with the more expensive items first. Once everything is laid out, then you can always go back and adjust these accordingly. So here's what we recommend. For the bride's dress, that's going to be 45% of your attire budget, or 3% of that total wedding budget. For the groom's suit, you're looking at 25% of the attire budget, or 2% of your total budget. Alterations, that's going to be 15% of your attire budget, or 1% of that total budget. And for shoes and accessories, that's going to be 15% of your attire budget, or 1% of that total budget as well.
Tip number 3 is your color theme. Whatever you decided on for the overall design of your wedding, try to accommodate those colors and visuals of that palette within your bridal party's outfits. This should be obvious in bridesmaids and subtle in groomsmen.
Tip number 4 is fittings and adjustments. Right, so make sure that you leave plenty of time for any fittings or adjustments you and your bridal party might need when putting together your outfits. Right, these could easily extend the turnaround time of these items by several weeks or even months, depending on the season. You also want to keep in mind any anticipated future events that could affect how things will fit on the wedding day. Right, so if you're someone who's running a marathon or maybe you're pregnant, this can drastically affect how things are going to fit a couple months later down the line.
Lastly, tip number 5 is to consider rental requirements. Like we mentioned before, if you decide to rent your equipment, there will likely be some restrictions to be aware of. Do your research in advance and make sure you have a game plan for returning anything that needs to be returned after the wedding day. You might also want to consider purchasing accidental insurance, just in case anything goes wrong.
Because something always goes wrong.
Write that down, write that down!
All right, so that should cover just about everything. Any of those checklists, timelines, or budget breakdowns that we discussed in this video can be found right down below, along with any links to the resources we mentioned.
And if you have any questions about what we covered in this video, feel free to post those right in our private Facebook group or email us directly at support@whateverything.com. See you in the next video.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget that you can subscribe to our channel right here, and we will see you in the next video.